Hello there and welcome back to some more Grand Theft Auto 3. Today we're continuing on Let's Play. This is episode 30. In today's episode we are taking a look at the Rampages here on Shoreside Vale. There is 7 of them, I believe, and this first one involves splattering 20 Colombians with a car in 120 seconds. Your best weapon here is, well, your automobile as you crush Colombians. Now, the best way to do this is by using the Bulletproof Patriot achieved from Ray in the Marked Man mission, but it can be done without that vehicle particularly. Essentially all you've got to sort of accept at the end of this is your car will be toast. The Colombians do carry Uzis, which can get through your car pretty quickly, nowhere near as quick as the AK-47s they do end up carrying on later in the game, so do get this one completed pretty much as soon as you arrive here in Shoreside Vale. I guess you can try and keep the car alive, but as you can see I sort of failed there. Dropped off the Infernus and jumped for basically the first car I could find. This one is pretty easy, so you can grab pretty much any car you want. Just make sure you're grabbing a car which is fresh. So something like the taxis that spawn near here are great. Also, the Shoreside Vale Airport is home to quite a few sports cars. Sports cars aren't a bad idea. They have a good amount of speed and a good amount of agility to avoid gunfire, but there you go. That one is completed for $70,000. Pretty easy way to earn some money right there. Next up, we head up to the heights to behead 20 HUD's members in 120 seconds with the M16. So you remember those awful sniper side missions where you have to behead people? Well, you have to do that again, this time with the M16. Now, there is a couple of benefits and a couple of disadvantages compared to the old Yardy one. Some advantages include the fact that the HUDs do not attack you. They are perfectly fine. I don't even think they attack you when... Oh wait, no, they do attack you when you attack another one of them in very close vicinity, but that isn't particularly common. Just make sure you're aiming towards the head. Of course, this is a lot easier on PC. PS2 aiming is a little bit of a nightmare. Also, bear in mind that as soon as you spray someone with the M16, they're likely to go down. Try and get some long-range shots. Sort of short range, you'll probably end up hitting a shoulder or something of the sorts. Yeah, my tactic here was to stay relatively stable. This one will actually take a couple of tries. Your best bet is sort of start shooting long range towards that billboard near sort of the waterway, and then turn around and you'll probably have some spawn right into your line of sight, like that purple guy there. Purple and red HUDs do count, so target either one of them. Either way, you should be cutting it pretty close time-wise when it comes to this Rampage. Yeah, as I said, definitely a lot easier on PC where you can aim the M16 freely without having to use the crosshair, but on PS2 I didn't really have much choice. I think I do actually cut this pretty finely in terms of time limit. Yeah, maybe need some target practice with the M16, but it's not too terrible a Rampage all in all. Nowhere near as bad as, again, the sniper one, in my opinion, is a lot harder to do, just because the sniper doesn't allow you to get follow-up shots as quickly, and they don't spawn quite as freely as the HUDs do. You have a pretty good vantage point in that sort of section. Next up, speaking of Southside HUDs, is this one for cartel members? I don't remember. I know we're still in the same area. Anyways, for this one you have to drop down from this bridge and grab it here. Yeah, it is 20 HUDs. With a shotgun, no less. This one is difficult from its original position, in my opinion. The secondary position makes it a lot easier, which is right at the airport, strangely enough, behind this sumo sign. Yeah, the shotgun, you've got to remember, is a very close weapon. It's somewhat difficult to aim, especially at people directly in front of you. For whatever reason, it does like to miss. Do remember the jumping tactic. The easiest way to get around with a two-handed weapon is to jump. But you'll see here, it sort of close-range combat, ironically enough, is kind of hard with a shotgun. Maybe it's better to just not aim with it, just sort of free shoot from the hip. That seems to be a pretty good method. But once the HUDs are actually in your sight, it is a very deadly weapon. It will take them down in one hit. Just have full health and armor before you attempt this one. Again, the HUDs aren't massively lethal, they only have pistols. But still, it is much easier to just not deal with, well, being shot in the first place. But yeah, they spawn pretty much everywhere here in the airport. I find it a lot easier, and $80,000 are yours if you're completing these Rampages in the same order that I am. Next up, we head to Cedar Grove for this next rampage. Drive by and destroy 7 vehicles in 120 seconds using the Uzi. The Uzi is not the most effective vehicle killing weapon, but it is certainly doable. As usual, in these sort of destroy a certain amount of vehicles in a certain amount of seconds, I would perhaps recommend starting a traffic jam, maybe sort of getting some people out of their cars before you attempt this, but you don't have to do that. What I would recommend is getting a relatively strong vehicle, so in this aspect I decided to go for an Esperanto. They can take a fair amount of punishment. Don't go for something like a sports car or anything that can really, you know, take a bunch of... you need something that can take a bunch of stick. You can't just take any old vehicle that will be dealt death with within a couple of rounds, because the idea here is essentially getting the police after you to give you some extra cars to shoot at, because, well, they'll pull alongside you, they'll occasionally abandon their cars, and it's okay. Also, sort of explosions that happen and then exploding other cars, that technically does clash towards this. For whatever reason I turned around a bit too quickly there and that didn't count. This rampage, I've got to admit, I did cock it up slightly. Again, I would recommend making a traffic jam and doing it that way if you're struggling with this one. It's not too difficult on Rampage though, in fairness, once the police are after you. And as you can see here, tagged a couple of cars, got some more explosions, and then I think I immediately die straight afterwards. Okay, maybe not quite. I sort of get 2 health and then, yeah, well done me. You probably will die after that rampage, to be fair, because your car will probably explode. Thankfully, the next rampage also involves vehicles and is much, much easier. In fact, it's one of my favourite rampages in the entire game. Head up to the warehouse roof, where many missions take place, such as Bullion Run, and there's a couple of others as well. As you can see, starts traffic jam as usual when it comes to destroying vehicles, and you have to destroy 15 vehicles in 120 seconds with the rocket launcher, which, as you can see, is not particularly difficult. I actually got quite successful by tagging a cop car straight away, which is a really good start. Cops in this one, as you can imagine, don't really matter because you're perched on this rooftop and you are pretty much invincible. It's lovely. I really like this rampage. Also, you get to watch a bunch of physics issues. I decided to blow up some people to see if I can get myself any more of a wanted level to get more police cars spawning in. Fun fact with these that I didn't actually realise, when it says destroying vehicles, that doesn't mean just cars. You can actually destroy helicopters, and that works for this as well. If no cars are spawning, just simply work your way up towards this intersection, because this intersection does spawn a fair amount of cars, but you probably shouldn't have to you shouldn't have to sort of go right on top of that intersection. It should be pretty okay. And again, you can sort of see now the cop cars come flooded in. It's absolutely a-okay. Once you get 3 stars, they really will start flying at you. So there should be an easy spawn. Take out the helicopter as soon as it spawns in, because not only is it worth 1 extra point to you, it is also one of the only ways that you can really be killed from up here, which is quite nice. So yeah, definitely make sure to take that one out. And yeah, there you go. The helicopter explodes for 90,000 credits. Next up, perhaps my least favourite rampage I've done so far in this bleeding game. We head to Pike Creek for this one, and it's one of my personal favourites. You know, the ones where you have to kill a bunch of Colombians. Oh, sorry, the ones where you have to pop a bunch of heads only. Yeah, it's one of those, and it's Colombians. Now, the Colombians aren't particularly nice to you. They also have Uzis / AK-47s, which is not good. From the first location, it's pretty much impossible. The second location, it's also a bit of a ball ache. But yes, remove 15 Colombian heads in 120 seconds. You can't just drop down like you could with the Yardies ones, because unlike the Yardies, the Colombians certainly will attack. You need to have good aim here, good time, and get really lucky with the spawning. Also, to make this even worse, the Colombians have a bit of a weird hitbox. If you hit them in the hat just bleeds and it doesn't care. Yeah, they sort of seem to be a little bit off as to what counts as a headshot and what does not count as a headshot. So, sort of aim more for neck area with the Colombians. Don't aim straight for the head. I think this one does it maybe? Nope, never mind. I know, I'm not sure if it's in this particular attempt, I don't know if I got lucky on this one, but I know on some of these it's like you've got a headshot and it's like literally nothing happens. It is pretty ridiculous. There you go. Something like that can happen, where you basically get screwed out of a headshot, or again, the hat will literally bleed. Do not aim for the Colombians underneath you. There will sort of be a gathering of them underneath the garage you're on top of. I might zoom out and show this at some point, or I might just drop down at the end. Yeah, they're not really good to aim for. Weirdly enough, I find the closer you are to the Colombians, the worse it gets in terms of the hit detection on this, so try and take them out from pretty far away. Don't go too far over the edge, because if you fall down, you're getting mincemeated within seconds. As you can see, I did start to panic here. The spawning really wasn't doing me any favours, but eventually I managed to get a couple of them to spawn. One more headshot is needed, as I desperately try and look around the map, because this one did take me upwards of about an hour to do. Missed the shot, and there we go, popped his head. 95,000, and there we go. Yeah, there is a small gathering of them right underneath me. That one can be a bit awkward. And finally, another rampage which I desperately recommend you do before the Colombians really start to come after you with massive weapons, is our final one, which is frying 20 Colombians in 120 seconds with the flamethrower. Now, we encountered one of these in Thornton Island and in Portland. Both times you have to use a flamethrower have been pretty darn piss poor. The flamethrower is not a good weapon. It doesn't burn the people that you shoot at instantly, it doesn't have any targeting, and it's just overall a very bad weapon to use. Couple that to Colombians that just rush up to you and shoot you with Uzis, and you will definitely need full health and armor before you attempt this one. The second location is here in Pike Creek, and I find it a lot easier. It's just across the road from the import-export garage. And essentially what we're doing here is a similar tactic to what we did with the Yakuza, which is essentially a case of try to get them to spawn behind you and then set fire to them that way. Try not to get them to approach you too closely, because otherwise you'll catch fire, which is not good. Yeah, I was not having much fun with this. I desperately tried to avoid police attention while doing this as well, because the police will make this a hell of a lot harder. Whatever you can do to get shot at less during this, the better. The flamethrower does have slightly better range than the flame particles would suggest, but even still, it's not particularly far. As you can see here, I'm just sort of spinning around aimlessly, trying to hit them from some distance. Also, do remember, of course, the usual jumping instead of just walking is quicker here. But in the end, it is possible. It just does take a little bit of time and practice. It's not a massively fun rampage, I've got to be honest. But once you have completed the final rampage, you are rewarded with $1 million. Yeah, the rampages are a very good way to earn money. And yeah, that is all of the rampages fully completed in the game for all 20 out of 20 done. So we never have to look at those ever again. Anyways, thank you all very much for watching. Join me next time for something. I can't actually remember what it is. Stay tuned for that. Until then, a farewell.
And now it feels like I am all set for a good thing complete.